This is Local Legends, the podcast where West Michigan sports takes center stage. Hosted by three local voices who've lived and breathed area sports. Hutton, Oshnok, Bakita. High school football the way it's meant to be, covered by the experts who know it best. This is Local Legends. Here we go, week 2 is in the book. My goodness, was it a wild week 2. Osh, your game was wild, but it kind of pales into comparison to some of the stuff we saw around the state tonight. And I think we have to start with Zeeland West and West Ottawa. I mean, wow.
Heartbreaking, right? Heartbreaking if you're a West Ottawa fan. You're opportunistic if you're a Zeeland West fan. But for a game to come down to the last 2 plays, I believe the long reception and kids out of bounds, second remaining, and then they throw a Hail Mary, and there's a couple of people up for it, and then the guy is just great to catch it. And I know we were talking about this, and when you talk about the last of the game, like how often you can get a chance to practice that, right? I mean, for us, the program, we practice one time on Thursday during the week. We practice both offense and defense situation, and offensively, we'll try to reach out outside to jump up. If you can catch it, great. If not, hopefully you can tip it. And I'm past the point of control where in the air. And then you got to find a new receiver to be kind of in front of that time. And then you hope another receiver is just coming in the vicinity. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard. You got to get the judge like, how far can you afford that, right? Quarterback throw the ball 40 yards in the air, or do you have to throw the ball 60 yards in the air, right? Where that's going to end up. Boy, each comes down to a wire, and that's, I forget the name of the training. It's Riley Street Road between West Ottawa and Zeeland West, man. It's the last couple of the second year in a row.
All right, let's try to watch this here. Let me see if we can play this. Here it is. And it's crazy, too, is like Zeeland West doesn't throw the football. Oh, right. Gosh, he caught the ball on the ground, did he not?
It looked like he had a knee down.
Which would result in the clock continuing.
For sure.
Let's watch this again.
Catch. Man, I mean, his knee was
over.
Game should have been over there.
He caught the ball with a knee down. And the clock would continue to run. He got up and ran out of bounds. I didn't even know that part of it.
Wow.
So now
last play.
And this is Zeeland West. Like they don't. They're a wing tee, flat tee.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't throw the football much. But my guy Drew Albrecht, he got it down there. Here it is. Do you blitz there? Like defensively, would you send guys?
Oh wow! And he got right behind. I mean, there was one until. Yeah, I mean, against a team like that, I think we would blitz. But boy, right there.
3 guys, 3 defenders right there. And it deflects right to Brandon Holman. I mean, you're not going to see games in like that ever. Anyway.
Not like that. Boy, that's the tough thing for West Ottawa. And you got kids trying to go make a play, right? I mean, we talk about this, but you see that happen in college. You see that happen in the NFL, right? Ball's up there, man, I can get it, and all of a sudden it bounces off. There's a guy just opportunistically behind you. Well, that's a tough way to start the season.
What do you say to your team after a game? Like, what's the most heartbreaking loss you've ever had as a head coach?
Oh, boy. Probably the most heartbreaking loss as a head coach. Boy, we dropped the barn down. Actually, in 2015, we played Wyoming, and we only had 1 loss this season. They had 4 losses. They were a flat team too, and came down to the final play of the game, and we couldn't punch it in. And it kind of still feel like that game haunts right at one ending. That was a loss, right? And that put us from 1 loss to 2 losses, and then we ended up, we had a nice game and went 9. But man, what do you say to your team after that? There's not much you can say. You can have 1, obviously, just applaud their effort. 2, you say, hey, this is only 2. And we're going into our OK Red play. And I know the OK Red's a gauntlet, but you know what? From what I've seen from West Ottawa, 1 and 2, they can compete with anybody. They've got the guys who can compete with anybody. Schematically, I think they're sound. I think they're playing hard. The breaks were just against them a little bit there. And, you got to just turn the page and say, I got to go back to work Saturday, Monday, or Sunday when the league starts for them. And guys, let's attack this in one day at a time.
I mean, I was honestly surprised they were competitive in this game. They led it for quite a while. They led it in the final 40 seconds. There's no moral victories, but I didn't think West Ottawa was going to be a great team this year. But I mean, that's the defending state champs, and they did everything but win the football game. So, do you think there's anything they can take out of this?
The Zeeland West program's obviously unbelievable. I know Coach Shilto isn't there anymore, but I mean, you look at it, West Ottawa should have won that football game. And, they just brought the short end. So I don't know if you can take them all victories because that's nearly impossible. But man, you got to continue, to build upon the relationship Coach Collins has with these guys. And you say, you know what, guys, trust in me. Let's trust in each other. Let's go back to work. Let's just go day by day, try to get better today. But that's tough with them, I think.
They got Granville coming in to West Ottawa next Friday night because the OK Red play starts. That'll be the only OK, and the Silver will start divisional play next week. You guys still wait another couple weeks. Well, speaking of Granville, I mean, crazy number 2. Granville goes to Cass Tech tonight, obviously a marquee game in the state of Michigan. When you talk about 2 top 10 teams, certainly Cass Tech, defending Division I state champion. I thought shootout, right? We talked about this on the podcast last week. We didn't think either team would stop the other. This game's 7-6 at halftime, and then it got crazy. I mean, we just caught the last little bit of it on the stream there on the prep on YouTube. It's 28-28. Granville's going in, and Granville, a wing T team, a flat T team that will go for 2, but they have a really good kicker. They kicked extra points last week in their win over Muskegon, 4 of them. And they're going to attempt essentially a 25-yard field goal from the middle of the field. This is a high percentage play for Granville, and it got weird. It was a snap that it looked like nobody was ready for. The ball goes shooting way past everybody. The holder and the kicker never moved. The whole Cass Tech team starts coming in once it snapped. They call a penalty. The official did this for the single. Do you know what that is or what maybe was called there?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, you can't, as a defense, you can't emulate the snap count for the offense. And so I'm assuming maybe Granville gives like a down call or a ready or a color, and maybe they say set. Even if you say shift on defense and you make it sound like set, you can't do it. You can't replicate their snap count that you've heard all game. So I'm guessing that's what it was, because clearly the kicker or the holder's looking back at the kicker. The kicker's like still kind of getting sort of set up. That ball goes through, and that penalty was called. And then what makes it even crazier, then all of a sudden the kicker has to leave the field, and then you get a delay game penalty.
That's what happened.
Well, it's when the ball moves back.
So you can watch this on the Preps YouTube page. They do a great job. They were at Rockford last Thursday for the Sling game. Friday they did East Kentwood and Southfield. Tonight they had Cass Tech in Granville. And their announcers, who are in the press box there calling the game, say that the officials sent the kicker off the field. That's what the announcer said. And it certainly looks like the official is looking at the Granville kicker and pointing to the sidelines. And you and I are watching this and you're going, why wouldn't Granville still kick the ball? And it almost looked like the kicker got sent off the field. I mean, I don't know what the heck happened.
I don't know. And why would he get sent off the field? Number one, you get sent off the field if your helmet pops off the play before, right? You're not properly equipped to not have a mouthpiece, or his knee pads non-existent, or thigh pads, or hurdle. I have no idea. But those are the only reasons that you get sent off the field. But it looked like he got sent off the field. They still have a field goal team up there, and they're kind of looking around like, wait a minute. Are we kicking? And then we see the offense come out there, and then they get a delay. And then they come up a yard short of getting the first down on a great catch and pass.
Well, and that's what's really strange is, so before any of this crazy stuff happened, it was 4th down from the 8, the 7 or the 8, because the hold was going to be at the 15. It was going to be a 25-yard field goal attempt. when they come out after that, and they sort everything out after whatever happened, they place the ball at the 10. So if what you're saying is Cass Tech replicated the snap count, that would, I would think, be a penalty on Cass Tech, and it would move the ball half the distance to the goal. But the ball actually got moved back 2 yards to the 10. So Granville's on the 10. When the kicker gets, like, I don't know how there could have been a 2-yard penalty on Granville, because it's not half the distance away from the goal. And even if it was, that wasn't half the distance away from the goal. And so then they get the delay a game penalty, and that moves it from the 10 to the 15. But I don't understand how the ball ended up on the 10 in the first place.
I have no idea, and I can't wait to find out. And you can see on the video, Coach Steve did not look very happy. He's kind of yelling. And then Coach Rushing from Cass Tech, he was kind of yelling. And these poor officials are in the middle, like, well, I'm trying to explain what's going on to both sides. It was that. I personally, I've never seen an ending to a game ever.
So anyways, the game ends up in overtime. Granville runs a play on 4th down. They run a wheel route to DJ Hardiman, and the Cass Tech DB makes a great play. Open field tackle on Hardiman at about the 5. And so the ball goes over on downs on Cass Tech with like 2 seconds left. They go to overtime. Granville runs 4 plays, 3 carries for Tank Terry. They get inside the 1, maybe inches from in the end zone. You can't tell from the press box camera, but the officials on the field called him short. And then Cass Tech fumbles the ball on 3rd and goal, and it falls right to their guy. He's able to fall on it, and they kick a field goal in the last play and win 31-28. What a game. I mean, unbelievable.
What a game. And so we got the West Ottawa Zeeland West game. We've got the Cass Tech Granville game. Unbelievable finishes there.
So that's unbelievable. And before we move on to what I'm going to call the third craziest game of the night, Northview and Vicksburg, what do you do if you're Muskegon and Granville? I mean, you go over there, you go toe to toe with the best team in the state of Michigan. I mean, you easily could have won the football game. Crazy stuff goes down. What are they taking out of this?
Oh, you talk about some, unbelievable moral victories, and no coach likes moral victories, but you went toe to toe with Cass Tech, who might not only be the best team in the state of Michigan, they beat the best team in the state, one of the best teams in the state of Ohio last week. And so that's a 2-0 battle-tested Cass Tech team, and they can do everything they can handle. Now, obviously you want to come away with a win, and it's a lot easier to win, or it's a lot easier to make some adjustments off of wins. But man, that Greenville hold their head high because they're obviously a very good football team. And what's most impressive to me is how much, and it sounded like the announcements were talking, there was 3 or 4 stops inside the 5, so they were able to move the football down the field. And at the same time, their defense played pretty well. Greenville's defense played pretty well. So you're saying, you're able to hold those guys to less than 40? That sounds crazy. You're saying, I have to take less than 40. Kudos, you all. That's unbelievable. And we'll find out what really happened at the end of the game probably the next couple of days. That's a winnable football game. I Greenville could come away easily.
The dudes Cass Tech has, that holding them to 28, that's really good.
Yeah,
that's really good. All right, so now I obviously don't know everything about every game tonight, but I'm going to call Northview Vicksburg the third wildest game of the night on an incredibly wild night. So here's what I know about the game, and it's not much. You kicked the field goal on the last play? Was it the last play to win the game?
Maybe the last play, right? We kicked the field goal, then we had to kick off, and they had one.
So 23-21, you win it. Take me through this.
They got off too quickly, 7 of them. They did a nice job, man. They very well coached team. They run a ton of RPOs. Quarterback was just as good as advertised. Did a nice job. We had a hard time early on defending them, and then our defense got settled in. We answered right away at 7-7, and then they made some nice adjustments. And we weren't able to run football or be at in that first drive right there. So we battled back. It ended up. It was 20-14 going into the fourth quarter. I made a silly mistake. We got to jump off sides on an extra point, move the ball to 1.5. I was like, all right, we can punch in for a 2-point conversion and maybe try to, kind of spread this lead a little bit. It was 14-14, or maybe it was, I don't know what it was at the time. And then we ended up getting stuck on there, so now we're kind of chasing points. But anyway, Vicksburg, our defense stops him, and then we got a punt. They would we muff a punt. They recover. They end up scoring with 52 seconds remaining. We get the ball back. We're able to throw a couple passes to freshman wide receiver Judah Brittany, an unbelievable game. And so he caught two passes. One, a running back caught a pass. We were able to get out of bounds into one. And then A.J. Johnson caught a huge pass down the sideline. We went to attempt a field goal. They jumped off sides. There was maybe 9 seconds remaining. So we said, we threw our offense back out there, tried to run one more play. Thought we had a really good play down in that area. We'd be able to throw the ball away just very little time because we have a new kid who's a sophomore, and this is his first time year playing varsity. And I was like, man, if we just put touchdowns, great. I mean, obviously we trust him. We didn't complete that pass. Then we put in this, our sophomore kicker who kicks right from the ground and doesn't even use the feet, and he knocks it home. So he did a great job. So our kids went crazy, and that was great. But it was a really hard fought game. I mean, Vicksburg just very physical up front, big offensive line. They're able to push us around a little bit, and again, we got to get better up front if we're going to be able to make a run there in our conference. So we got a lot to improve on, but I mean, I don't know if it was as wild as the Zeeland West Ottawa game or the Cass Tech Granville game, but boy, it came right down to the end and had a 2-minute drill to win the game.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, 2 scores, one by each team in the final minute. You don't get that very often in a football game. Let me ask you this. So if you covered it there, I apologize. It's 14-14, you score. So what happened on the PAT after the touchdown that put you up 20-14?
So it might have been the one, no, and maybe it was 14-7. We scored, and we were lining up a field goal. We kind of snapped down in the stance, and they jumped up sides. And so we get the ball on the 1.5 yard line as opposed to 3. We start off, we were like, maybe we could do it. This was second, third quarter each time. And we ran away, and we got stuck. And they did a great job. And so now, instead of it being 15-14, it was 14-14. And we just thought we had a really play, and we couldn't execute. And, then when they scored at the end, I'm sitting there pulling out the hair that we don't have. Like, geez, should just take the extra point there.
So you didn't miss an extra point. You didn't miss an extra point. Is that always like, I know we're down 2, we'll get into field goal range here. Are you that confident in the kicking game, or take me through the thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through the 2-minute drive right there. Well, not 2 minutes, 50 seconds. We're just right at that point. We're trying to field goal range, and we felt like if you get the ball to the opposite 20, we have a shot. That'd be a 37-yard field goal. That would be a shot. And to 7% like that. But yeah, I mean, our thought, at least my thought was, can we get into field goal range to try to kick this thing away?
And how long was the game winner?
I think it was 26 yards.
Okay.
So we were tight. We were right in there.
But you feel like he could go up to 37? You could.
I mean, that was kind of the magic number that I had in my head. We've seen him hit longer, but for his first ever career field goal attempt, like that was his first ever career field goal attempt. I thought 37 was good.
So you get the ball back with 50 seconds to go down 2. I mean, you got a quarterback who's playing his second varsity game. I mean, he was really good against West Catholic. How often do you practice that situation, and how happy were you with the way you executed it?
Wow, we have practiced that situation, and it's really hard to. We practiced it both against our defense and on air, but it's really hard to replicate what exactly the defense is going to do in those situations. And in that situation, Vicksburg was playing exponentially off. So we're like, okay, let's get a chunk play. And so we throw the ball, come back to Judah Britton. And then we say, you know what, man, let's try to get it back on a little wheel route in the backfield. And boom, get him. And so all of a sudden, we gained 20 yards in a matter of 6 seconds. And so the ball went from the 20 to the other 40, whatever it was. And so, and then we hit a long wheel route on the sideline. And like, oh my gosh, we're already in field goal range. So like within the matter of like 3 plays, we're in field goal range. But for us, it's like, man, let's work those sidelines because we didn't even have a timeout left. We had used all of our timeouts. And so it was like, man, we got to have the ball toward the sideline. Can't do anything in the middle field. We practice, killing the clock and spiking it. But you know how that is, man. I mean, it's high school football. If you watch any college football last week, you look at Notre Dame, against Miami, it looked like the worst 2-minute drill I'd ever seen in my entire life. I think, suffice to say, I think we did a better job executing than Notre Dame did right there.
So please stop me here if this is crazy. So you were down 21-6 last week to West Catholic. You win the game.
Yep.
Tonight you're down a point in the fourth quarter with 50 seconds to go and you have no timeouts. You're not that far from being 0-2. You're really not.
Right.
And you're sitting here 2-0.
Yeah.
Is there something about this team that, how are you doing it?
Yeah, well, I think we're still learning a lot about each other. I think we're still kind of gelling a little bit. I think we've got a lot of potential. But potential is kind of a dangerous word right there, right? So it's like, could we have easily lost to West Catholic? Easily could have lost to West Catholic, right? Could we have lost to Vicksburg? Easily could have lost to Vicksburg. But we're going to focus on the fact that we did come out and we were victorious in both of them. But there's a lot of mistakes that we've got to correct. And we go into week 3, and we're talking to Coach Lucas, right? All of a sudden we're playing a Sparta team that is 2-0 with all kinds of confidence, and they're a very good football team, very well coached. So it's Sparta, it's a great football community. They're going to pack that place out next week. There'll be a ton of people, and it's not that far from Northview either. So we'll bring a nice stage full as well. So that's going to be a big game in week 3. We felt like week 1 was a big game. Then all of a sudden we felt like week 2 was a big game. Now all of a sudden week 3 is becoming a bigger game. Right? The stakes continue to get higher and higher. And, hopefully we can kind of play a little more complimentary football and, put 4 total quarters together.
Yeah, it's a great stadium too. Spartan Stadium there at Sparta. 36-35. The Spartans beat Wayland tonight. So that's a shootout. That was probably in the top 5 crazies of the night, but I don't have much information on that one other than Brian Patterson's got Sparta 2-0, and they'll be hosting you guys next week. All right. So this was a pretty wild game. I was at Hackley Stadium tonight for Rockford and Muskegon, and I haven't seen a game like this in a long time. Muskegon just dominated the first half. It's 20-3. Muskegon's running the option. They're running it well. They are over 200 yards on the ground in the first half. They were 2-1 in total yards to Rockford, and we thought we had another snoozer. It did not look like Rockford was showing any fight at all. And then the opening kickoff of the second half goes down at the 3, and Muskegon didn't pick it up, and Rockford got there first. They get a 3-yard touchdown run from Luke Ahern. They missed the extra point, but they're 20-9. Then on the next Muskegon possession, Lamar Bradford, their really good senior quarterback, gets dinged up. Looked like some sort of lower leg injury, and they end up punting. And Rockford goes down, and Luke Ahern scores again. And it's 20-17 after the 2-point conversion. And then Bradford's not in. Muskegon goes 3 and out. Rockford scores again. They go up on a touchdown pass from Braden Daniels to Jack Dykebauer. They're up 24-20. Bradford comes back in, hurts his arm, stays in the game, but they can't score. They had a bad punt. They're punting from the plus 38. They were 4th and 12 on the Rockford 38, and they punted it. And that's just, St. Fairfield's a great coach, and he's a defensive coach, and he's going to play field position in that because he knows he has a really good defense. But the punt was low. I don't even think it got to the line of scrimmage, and Rockford ends up falling on it and getting the ball at midfield, and they go down and score again on a third Luke Ahern touchdown run, and then they're up 30-20, and then 27 unanswered points from Rockford, who was down 20-3, and they're up 30-20. And then Muskegon and Lamar Brad, they get a long kick. That's what it was. Muskegon gets a long kick return by Arquez Petty. Would have been a return for a touchdown, but he dropped the ball in the open field. It comes back to him. He goes out of bounds at the 20. So it ends up being a 20-yard Muskegon touchdown drive with 4:27 left. They missed the extra point, so now they need a touchdown. They kick it deep. Another where you have a situation here, 4:27 and 2 timeouts. You try for the onside. They kick it deep, and Rockford thought it was going to be an onside, so it ends up being a touchback. But Rockford, with Luke Ahern out of the eye, they get 2 first downs and run at the clock and win 30-26. I don't know if I've seen a team get dominated in the first half like Rockford was and turn around and win the football game.
It's unbelievable. And we kind of, you talk about a tale of 2 halves, and obviously when you lose the quarterback, that's tough. But you talk about all three phases, and special teams, turn that game around, right? That opening kickoff in the second half. And all of a sudden, when you're down 17 points, it takes a spark to kind of get the ball rolling again in your favor. And all of a sudden, if you're able to recover the ball on that opening kickoff and not just a 10-yard onside, it goes all the way up to the 3-yard line or whatever it was. I mean, you're going crazy because those 17 points turned into 10 points, just like that. And hardly any time's going off the clock, right? And we've talked about this, man. Rockford's at their best when they're running basic football, man. I formation, pounded at you, very basic, go toe to toe. I feel Rockford can go toe to toe with any team in the state of Michigan, and be unbelievably competitive, if not favored in every game that they win. So I mean, and credit to them. I was Coach Banner coaching their defense, man. They're always gonna have exotic schemes. But the bottom line is the kids from Rockford, man, they play hard, man. And they play hard for all 4 quarters. And you got to account for that. You got to account for what they're doing there. And that's truly unbelievable. And I think it's a break, on the other hand, break from Muskegon, right? Dropped kind of a heartbreaker in week 1 to who I thought was an OK Red favorite. And then they lose to another OK Red team in week 2. And the schedule doesn't get any easier for them, right? And they're going to hop in this OK White, and I forget, who do they play next week?
They're going to Cleveland to play Garfield Heights.
Okay,
so that's a game they should win. Garfield Heights, I think, won 1 game last year, so they'll be a little favored in that one.
Yeah. So the schedule that you make favors to you. Look in your league. I mean, we're one of our preseason teams that we were like 4 South Northern, and then you go Grandville, then you go short, you're just like, damn. And then you're at Cincinnati Bowler, traditional power. You're looking at yourself like, man, but I believe in Coach Fairfield, and I think he'll get him back on track next week, and he'll get him rolling. And that's the reason why he's one of the best coaches in this. I mean, I'm hesitant to say West Michigan because he's one of the best coaches in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, no argument for me on that one. And while we're on the OK Green real quick, they did win a game tonight, so that's 1 more than they won last week. But still, only Mona Shores, who beat River Rouge 16-6 in 2 non-conference weeks. The OK Green has 1 win. The other 5 teams are all 0-2. Reese Puffer, Union, Byron Center. Reese Puffer lost to Caledonia. Actually, I didn't actually see the Okemos Union score. So maybe Union got a win tonight. But Reese Puffer lost to Caledonia, big. Byron Center lost to East Kentwood tonight, big. Muskegon lost to Rockford, close. And Forest Hills Northern lost to Jenison tonight, 23-7. Josh Lucas coming up here in a minute with us on the Local Legends podcast. So Mona Shores tonight with the 16-6 win is the first win and only at this point for the OK Green. All right, I'm going to look up that Okemos Union score, but before I do that, I want to get your thoughts here. So Rockford, 2 years ago they had Ryan Ahern running back when they were really good. It was Ryan Ahern. Now he started at linebacker, and they still played him a lot at running back, and they ran the football. Last year, Isaac Poot, who's now at Grand Valley, good running back. I mean, at this point, it seems clear to me that Luke Ahern is the guy they need to get the football to. Now, he's a 3-year starter at safety. He's going to join his brothers at Ferris State. He's a really good defensive player. They gave him credit for 7 tackles tonight, but I was there, Ash. Like, he made 15 tackles if he made 1. So, like, he's their best defensive player. How would you balance that as a coach? I mean, I think you're going to have to hand the ball at 12 if you want to move the football.
Yeah, I think sometimes you got to ride that horse, man. I mean, if he's your best option, man, you got to do it. And if he's your best option on defense, you know what? I mean, if you're a scholarship player and you're playing in the OK Red, if you're a scholarship athlete, Division II, Division I, man, you got to play on both sides of the ball at some point in time. Maybe not exclusively, but he looks good at tailback, and I think the more they hand him the football, and he comes from great bloodlines, right? I mean, Coach Jim Ahern, you remember him from Lansing Catholic? That's his grandfather, right? His dad is one of the coaches at Rockford, so he comes from great bloodlines, great athletes. I mean, man, how do I handle it? I think I might start breaking in another safety and maybe splitting some time on the defensive side because he's too valuable on the offensive side.
All right, I'm striking out here. All I can find on Union Okemos is that at halftime it was 7-0 Okemos. So yeah. I don't know who won that game, but Certainly it was going to come down to the end. All right, a couple of things to hit real quick before we get into Josh Lucas' interview. Josh Lucas is 2-0 at Jenison in year 2. They beat Forest Hills Northern tonight in Brett Bakita's game of the week on 96.1 the game. Two things I want to talk about. My number one team, Hudsonville, did get to 2-0. They go to East Lansing tonight and win 37-36. And that's all I know. I have a final score. I was surprised it was that close. I mean, East Lansing was great last year with Jace Cluzio, and they got to the D2 state semifinals. But East Lansing got beat by Portage Central last week, 45-0, and I know they lost a ton of guys. But maybe I shouldn't be surprised when I look at the fact that Portage Central beat Forest Hills Central tonight, 41-0. Wow, that got to take notice of that.
We got to really figure out what's going on at Portage Central. I mean, for them to shut out those two football teams, I mean, they're playing some really good defense. Or obviously, the ball controlling offense. They're one of those triple option teams from under center. You know, the Army Navy flex. And Mick Edwards does an unbelievable job coaching his kids in that system, and they got some athletes, right? So I mean, they're putting in Portage Central Division II. They're putting Division II on watch for sure, because those are two great wins. Obviously, I'm a big believer in the Hudsonville football program. Yeah, but I think the East Lansing program is really good as well. And to see, and be that kind of a game, boy, I mean, I'll tell you what I'm excited for, the Oakley Red play to the game next week. I mean, it's going to be good, because I look at it right now. You talk about Forest Hills Northern and Jenison. Forest Hills Northern is as good as anybody up front in West Michigan. And Jenison gets a win tonight. So, boy, man, it's going to be fun to watch once league play starts.
All right, running on my top 10 here. Granville Catholic Central goes to 2-0, beat St. Thomas More out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada tonight, 35-10. And Kanawha Hills beats Paw Paw 48-27. And so Don Fellows and the Knights are 2-0. So with that, let's get to Josh Lucas and bring him in now, because his Wildcats are 2-0 with the win over Forest Hills Northern tonight. All right, Josh Lucas is here. His Wildcats 2-0 for the first time since 2007. Thanks for being here. Take us through the win tonight. Obviously, you beat a really good Forest Hills Northern team, held them to 7 points. How'd you guys get it done?
Yeah, our defense played lights out. We put together a really good game plan with them Sunday night, and the Ospo kid had a couple nice runs, but at the end of the day, like, our defense, kids were playing hard, and it's just something that I think has been missing in Jenison for a while, is kids buying into the next play, kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Ash. But like, our defense, man, they played lights out, and then when we needed to run the ball, we had an 8-minute drive at the end of the game, and we ran one play on the right side and ran it behind Nick Potter, who's a sophomore, and I think Brody had probably 8 carries in a row. And it's fun. It's fun when you're coaching and you get that opportunity with your guys when someone calls a timeout and you ask them what they want to run, and they're all on the same page, want to run the same play. So it was a really cool moment for me, because it's a play that I took over from Chelsea, that I learned from those guys in Chelsea. And we tried running it last year, and it just wasn't very good. And tonight it was pretty dang good. So it's just those moments in coaching you don't get back on the field, and it was just really fun for those guys to basically tell me what they want to run. And I already knew what I was going to call, but like, hearing them say it just reiterates everything that we're doing. And it was really fun, man. We gave a big kick return, and they punched it in on a touchdown, and our kids battled right back. We went right down and scored. I think we had a 3rd and 8, and Felgner hit Vandergraff on a nice little crow route for a touchdown. So we went into halftime with the lead and kept them to 7 the whole second half, which is tough to do. The Oswald's kid is an absolute freak at quarterback, and we did a great job of slowing him down and kind of getting them some down distances that they probably don't want to be in. But yeah, our kids just played hard, man. And one of our coaches, who's been on our staff for 20 plus years, is like, that's Jenison football. That's when we were good in the heyday. That's what it was. We played really good defense and we ran the ball. So, and in the OK Red, that's what you got to do, right? Like, you got to run the football and you got to be able to stop the run. And I thought our kids did a great job of that tonight.
You know what I'm most impressed about is, I mean, how good Forest Hills Northern is up front. And it sounds like you matched and maybe even potentially exceeded them up front. Talk about your dudes up front. How were you able to do it? Because when I see Forest Hills Northern on tape, I think they're as good as anybody in West.
They're as big as you're going to see. And that's we knew that going into it. They came to our place last year and absolutely just beat the piss out of us. So, and they're all back, and it's all the same guy. So we knew that. Nick Potter, who's a sophomore for us, actually got dinged up in the second quarter, and it's just funny how this works, right? In coaching, like all the things that we do, how it always matches up to Friday nights, right? So I always feel like it's a sermon when you go to church. Like that sermon was directed towards you. Came across the thing on Nick Saban, and it was about mental toughness, and we talked about it Wednesday night, and he was out for the second quarter, and he's a sophomore, and Charlie Stoker, kid from West Catholic that came back to Jenison, I went to him in the third quarter. I said, "Listen, you got to go tell him it's time to be a man, and you got to go out there and play." And he came back to me, and he's like, "Coach, he's got his helmet on. He's going to go back out there and play." And we ran behind him all night. So, that's impressive for a sophomore kid that didn't play as a freshman. He tore his labrum the second game of the year last year. For him to step up and do that, and we ran behind him all night. But then you got, we're young. We got Josiah Williamson at right guard as a junior, our center. Topolinski's a junior. Our left guard, Cooper Knott's a senior, and then our left tackle, Cooper Makma, is a junior. So when Potter went down, we brought in another junior. So we're pretty young up front. But when you got a guy like Brody, I think we just trying to cover people up and let that kid run. So just really proud of those guys. But Nick Potter for sure, man. He's a sophomore. To get dinged up and then to have an older guy that's been in the fire come and say, hey, it's time that you got to step up and kind of be the guy. And for him to come out and do it in the second half, it was awesome to see. Especially, we just talked about it on Wednesday. What's going to break you? What is it that breaks you? Because we don't know what that is, right? Like as a coach, you don't know how your kids are going to react to certain things. And it just fit perfect, man. We talked about it Wednesday, and we talked about it at halftime. And, he came out there and had a great second half.
Let's talk Brody Scheidemann for a minute. He's your senior running back, also a really good linebacker. He had a big year last year as a junior, like multiple, and we're talking about in the OK Red, multiple 200-yard games. And I think we all just thought, man, this dude's going to be great this year. And last week he kind of had modest, average human numbers. And I think I was surprised. But tonight sounded like you got back to giving him the ball.
Yeah, I think last week they did a really good job of tackling him. And when we got to the fourth quarter, I'm a pretty conservative guy in terms of play calling. And when we had the lead, I wasn't going to feed them, right? Like I knew the gauntlet of the OK Red and then playing Forest Northern week 2. Like I know what's on the horizon for him. So I kind of just took it easy on him last week. I think he had 19 carries for like $120 and a touchdown. And tonight I think he had 35 carries for I don't even know how many yards he had. Or I think he had 2 touchdowns tonight, maybe 1. I don't even know, but he's a great kid, man. If you had 22 of those dudes, you'd have a chance to win against anybody in the state because he's an awesome kid. He's a great leader, and what I'm really happy about him is he's one of those guys last year when we talked, and I came in last year about changing the culture. When things didn't go right for him, he showed his emotions out there. When things went wrong, it affected him on the next play. And this year, he's not doing that at all. He's all next play. He's getting the guys on the next play. So for me to see him mature in the leadership role, because when you have the best player, sometimes it's hard to be a leader too, right? Like that's a hard thing to do. And last year, I think he pressed it a little too much. And now this year, it's just coming naturally to him. And it's just a great progression to see all the offseason things that we do with our guys, to see it translating on the field for him. So, and to go with it, he's a great freaking player. Like he's an unbelievable running back, and honestly, he's probably even a better linebacker. But you don't hear about the linebacker play. You just hear about his running back stats and what he did last year. But he's a great kid. His dad coaches linebackers for us. Been in our program. Was a Jenison grad. Been a coaching since 1997. Just a great dude and a great kid. He's got a younger brother. It's a freshman. So he plays quarterback, which is exciting. But Brody's a great kid, man. Like I said, if you had 22 of those guys, you'd have a chance to win every week.
So sitting at 2-0, is there a buzz going around the program? Does the school have a little pep in their step? What's going on over there?
For sure. Like I think Jason said it tonight. I mean, it's 2-0 since 2007. I mean, that's really cool. But we got the OK Red staring us down in the face too. So we can enjoy this right now. I mean, you can only be 2-0, right? That's the best you can be is 2-0. So we're excited for that. But I think a lot of it goes back to last year. I think obviously the Rockford win was a great one, but as a coach, I think about the loss to West Ottawa more than the win against Rockford, because that was kind of the one that we kind of let slip away, and West Ottawa played a great game and had a great game plan against us. But knowing in the OK Red that in any night anybody can beat anybody, 2-0 is great, but we got a lot of work to do and a long ways ahead of us. I mean, there's, you know this, Ash, you've been in the league. Like, it's just some of the best coaches and best players, and it's one of the reasons that I came back. Was I always knew I wanted to come back to West Michigan, but being in the OK Red, I think it kind of is a big deal, and it's kind of cool to be in the league. And you know, I kind of had to put my own personal accolades aside, and I was okay with that when we decided to come back here, because you know, in Chelsea we'd win 7-8 games unless we played Northview week 1, and Ash would take it to us. But like that, you only had to get up for a couple games a year over there, and over here you gotta buckle it up every week. You know, we had guys walking out of the locker room sore as crap tonight because Northern's a physical football team and it was a physical football game, and I'm like, guys, we're back in here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. We got our lift at 8 a.m. You're gonna have 2 days to recover, and we got to get back on the saddle because it's go time. And Kentwood's a very good team, very good team.
I want to get into that for sure at some point because they had a really impressive win tonight. But before we get there, you had a really good senior class last year. Like, I mean, some people were like, whoa, Jenison beat Rockford. Like, you know, Josh Lucas is the savior. And maybe you are.
I don't think so.
That was a good senior class that had won all the way up. So I think there were some questions of this team this year, having lost so many good players, Charlie Norton, AJ Park, you know, more guys. Like, how have you replaced that senior class, and how good do you feel about where you are right here?
Well, obviously we feel pretty good. We're 2-0, but that group had went through a lot, right? So when you look at that group, they were 7-2 as sophomores on JV, which we all know JV's JV, but 7-2 in the OK Red's pretty good. And they bought into everything that I was bringing over from my time at Chelsea and trying to incorporate that here in Jenison. And so they did. They wanted to win. Like, I think every school and every program in the state of Michigan wants to win, right? It's just a matter of how do you get the kids to buy into what you're preaching. And I thought that senior group did a really good job. So yeah, coming into this year, I'd say 4 underclassmen are starting the O-line. That's hard to replace 5 guys up front, and Charlie Norton and AJ Park, and Spencer Strelecki. There was a lot of good dudes on that team that these young guys have done a great job of our offseason program and buying into everything that we're selling as coaches. And it's just fun to be a part of. You know, you talked about the buzz of the school. Monday morning is going to be electric. I mean, we're 6-0 as a program. You know, our under levels are 2-0. We're 2-0 in 8th grade. Like, there's a lot of exciting things happening, but we got the OK Red staring us down in the face too. So take that for what it's worth. Be excited about 2-0, but understand we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of great teams on our schedule, and it's a grind. And it's a dogfight each and every week. So we're just trying to get better. Every single day we're just trying to get better, and that's all you can do. And then, you know, play 48 minutes as hard as you can and take a look at the scoreboard at the end of the game and see what it says.
You know, I've been watching, I don't know if you've been watching that SEC documentary on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it honestly reminds me of the OK Red. I mean, it's literally every single Friday. Anybody can win. Like, literally anybody can win. And it's been like that for a long time.
Forever.
But as you're going into conference play, what do you emphasize? And we're all coaches, so we say, you know, the next game's the biggest game of the year because it's the one we're playing. I get all that. How are you getting your team prepared for the gauntlet coming up right here? Because, I mean, it really is a gauntlet. Is there any kind of secret sauce that you're using saying, hey, man, here's my philosophy going into the Red. This is what we're going to do.
Well, I think you got to kind of keep it simple too, right? Like, I think last year when we start off 1-3 and we played Granville, who we played them really tough last year, we had a chance to win that game. They came out on top. They made more plays than we did. That's what it always comes down to. So I think it's doing what you do and trying to do it as best as you can, right? Like, the league is extremely tough. And when you get cute and you do a bunch of different things, like, that doesn't always work. You know, we're going into week 3, so there's still things that we're going to have to iron out and figure out what are we exactly on defense, what are we exactly on offense. But I think as the season goes on, once you figure out kind of where your niche is, I think you just find ways to build plays off what your best plays are and keep it simple, right? Like, I think a lot of guys, especially younger guys, in this league ain't got younger guys coaching, but younger guys, they see stuff they see on Saturdays and Sundays, and they try to instill that, and that doesn't work all the time. You know what I mean? We try to have our our run game in by, we start August 11th this year. We try to have our run game in by August 11th, and then just have your little wrinkles off that, because you can't do different things every week in this league. It's way too hard. And I think that was part of our issue last year, is I was still trying to figure out the league. I was still trying to figure out our kids, and I didn't know what we were. And honestly, when we played Granville, it was 2 plays. We ran zone and trap, and that was it. And it worked, and we kind of built off that the rest of the year, and it seemed to work for us.
Okay, so you play East Kentwood next week, as you alluded. They were very impressive tonight, beating what we all think is a really good Byron Center team. How quickly, I mean, right, you win the game, you celebrate, you talk with your team, you get on the bus, you do all the things you got to do. How long does it take before you're looking at scores, and tonight you saw that East Kentwood win? Because I think it was 43-14.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the mind frame where my Saturday through Thursday is focused on this opponent, and so in Forest Hills Northern, and then Friday, I'll just take a couple looks at the next team. Not that we're looking ahead by any means, because that'd be stupid, but it's just to kind of get my mind away from Forest Hills Northern, because I think you can overcoach things too. You see too many things on huddle and too many things on film that you try to, oh shoot, we need to install this on Friday. Well, we already have our game plan in. It's done on Sunday. So I try to get a peek on Friday. I've done that forever, just to get a look at what are they running up front? Are they even or are they odd? Are they one or are they too high? Things like that, so I can start building my call sheet for the next week. And they got a lot of good dudes. And they got the quarterback obviously is the dude, but he's surrounded by a bunch of really good players. So we're gonna celebrate this one tonight, and then dive into them on Sunday. Obviously, we'll dive into them tomorrow. But like, they just got athletes everywhere, and they're physical, and they got a really good running back, and the tight end's back from last year, the quarterback obviously. So I mean, it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge for us, and you know, we're going to fight like heck and try to give them the best game that we can, and play as hard as we can. And, you know, like I said already, man, see what the score is at the end of the game.
This is a little kind of veering off track here a little bit, but you're a Hudsonville guy, yes?
Yeah.
You're a Hudsonville guy. Now
Yeah.
you're coaching at Jenison, right?
You got a lot of
I
those
know
questions.
it's not Ohio State, Michigan, but it's pretty darn close.
It's close. I mean, their high school, I live in the same neighborhood. Their high school is like 2 minutes from my house, and then our school is 2 minutes the other way. So
what's it like with your old buddies from Hudsonville, and maybe even some of the buddies that you had from Jenison? What's it like popping on the green and the white hat as opposed to the blue and the gold? I guess it's like Michigan State, right?
it was weird. When I came here in January last year, it was very weird, because it was when I was in high school, Jenison was in Hudsonville was like the game that mattered. It wasn't even Hudsonville Rockford anymore, because it was the first couple years we were playing Rockford. So, you know, that game, it was a big game, but it wasn't like we didn't know those kids, you know. But the Jenison game, you played them in middle school. You went to church with them. Some of them dated the same girls from your school. So like you had all that hatred towards them. Then you graduate and you realize, you know what, those are the same guys as us. They just went to Jenison. Like, we're the same people, you know. So for me, it was weird, you know, but I believed in our administration when I met with them last year, and I believed in the vision. It aligned with my vision of what I think a football program should look like. And like I said, we knew we wanted to come back. My kids were getting older, and it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made coming back here, but it's been awesome. It's been so rewarding. You know, I think I cried more last year after games than I did in Chelsea, because it means a lot, right? And I got all my buddies are Hudsonville dudes, and they talk crap to me, and it's all good. I just put it in the back of my mind and use it as a little motivation to try to get our program going. You know, that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to compete and get us in the right direction, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that so far.
Okay, so take me back to last year, because your first year at Jenison, you're playing at Hudsonville. Had you coached at Eagle Stadium since you graduated, while you were on your way up coaching? Was that the first time?
We played them twice when I was in Zeeland.
Okay.
So we played them once there when I was an assistant with Derek, and then we played once at Zeeland. But it was really weird for me. Like that night, just because there was so much tradition that I had walking down the hill and being in the other side of the locker room, it was a weird moment. And when we lost that game, it's one of the best moments, man. This is why my wife is unbelievable. So I get home, obviously we lose, and I'm devastated. And I'm in my bedroom right now. I'm laying in my closet on the floor, and I'm saying to her, like, why did I do this? Like, why did we do this? And she literally told me, and I won't say what she said on here, but she literally told me to get off the ground. This ain't about you. There's bigger things than just beating Hudsonville. And from that moment, it kind of switched my mindset with the whole thing. Like, I think when I got here, I think I was focused a lot on those guys and trying to beat those guys. And it's crazy to think, but like, I just think that's the way my mind worked. Like, I think I was focused on trying to beat those guys because I'm the Hudsonville grad and I'm coaching at Jenison, and it was personal to me, and that was so stupid. And like, from that moment, I just feel like it doesn't really matter. Like, it'll be better this year when they come to our place. I don't have to go back there, but I know I'm gonna have to go back there next year. So I'm gonna have to just man up and figure it out. I walk in there and I can see the pictures. I'm in the locker room. They have a weight room there. There's a picture of me in there. Like, just all the moments of being in that locker room as a player and then going and be doing it as a coach. It was just a really weird feeling for me. But thankfully, I got a wife who's pretty cold-blooded and told me to get off the floor and realize anything about you. So it was pretty cool.
Ash, I know you know this, but let's just be clear. He's not just a Hudsonville grad. He quarterbacked them in a state championship game at Ford Field.
Threw 5 picks, too. You didn't say that.
I wasn't going to go there.
Threw 5 picks. 5 picks. What? 3 of those picks were on like 4th and 12, 4th and 15. One of them was the worst call in MHSA history. Canuta Hancock has one hand up, one hand on a receiver, and they don't call pass interference. We also recovered a fumble with about 1:30 left to go in the game. We come up with the ball, and they give it back to Brother Rice. So, yeah, I threw 5 picks. I own it. And I think I can say that since we won at Chelsea. Like, that one's kind of out of my mind. But don't forget I threw 5 picks in that game either. I think I had 6 all year. I threw 5 in one game. So wasn't the best moment for me that day. But I wore it. I still have the articles in the basement. I talked about it was my fault. We lost the game. I put it on myself. And, you figure it out.
Alf Casa, man, he was getting all the calls at Brother Rice, man.
Oh, there was a lot of things going on in that game that were a little fishy about the officiating and where they're from and who they're with. But we don't need to go there tonight. Long story, but we lost 14-7 to a really good Brother Rice team. I threw 5 picks. Questionable, but I threw 5 picks.
Yeah, I knew you were the quarterback of that game. I didn't remember the 5 picks. So.
Yep. Yes, I did. Then, like, tonight was cool because we went to Forest Hills Northern, and I played there my junior year. And I was telling Parker, our quarterback, I'm like, hey, just so you know, when I played here, I threw 2 touchdowns in 1 quarter. So, like, let's see what you got tonight, buddy. Just kind of giving it back to him. So it's fun. Parker's a great kid. I love that kid. He's matured a ton. He's grown a lot over the last year. His development as a quarterback. It's been awesome.
While we're on your Hudsonville playing days, tell me about playing for Dave Durham. He was always one of my favorites when he was coaching at Hudsonville. What was that like, and what kind of influence was he on you?
It's funny because I never talked to him. I was a starting quarterback, and I never talked to him. It was unbelievable. He was the ultimate, like, motivator of young men, and guys would literally do anything he asked. So, like, a lot of things that I do now, I remember from what he taught us. Cat pride, eagle pride, right? That's from them. I had it in Allegan, tiger pride. I brought it to Chelsea, cat pride, or dog pride. Like, those things matter to me, and, like, he was unbelievable. But it's funny because people always ask me, I'm like, I never really talked to him. I was a starting quarterback, never talked to him. But I talked to Dave Littgard. I talked to David Nord. David Nord's one, I'm around him all the time. His 2 boys are 2 of my best friends. So, I'm around Coach Nord all the time. I still call him Coach. It's just the coach in me, I think. I still call those guys Coach. But Dave Durham was a beauty, man. I'll never forget. I think he did a 13 on your sidelines back when they used to do that, 60 seconds. And he talked about his favorite show being ER because the blood and guts. Like, it's just like, that's who he was. Went out to the field. We're walking down the hill. He's got 1 Adidas shoe on and 1 Nike shoe on. Didn't even know it. That's who he was. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, the stories about that guy. He'd come in, give unbelievable pregame speeches, and then I went and talked to him the rest of the game. It was bizarre, but it worked. Like, he didn't do anything with the offense. I remember one summer, Coach Littgard was gone, our offense coordinator, who was the head coach at Hudsonville after Coach Durham. And Coach Durham's trying to run plays. I'm like, Coach, we don't even have that play. Like, what are you – like, that play's not even in our offense. Like, what are we doing? Like, trying to run 281 sticks, He's calling it something different. I'm like, Coach, we can run the offense. You just run the defense. We got it. But it was just stuff like that. Like, he was such a beaut. Like, he was unbelievable. And kids would do anything for him. They would run through a brick wall. He had a fanny pack on. He was before his time, man. He was electric, man. I love that guy. His wife passed away when I got back here in Jenison, and I was at the visitation, and it was the first time I seen him in a long time. He texted me a couple times after we had some really nice wins in Chelsea, and those things, that means a lot to me coming from a guy that I learned a lot from. And I'm just trying to run a program like him, man. He did a great job at Hudsonville, and it's guys like him that I'm trying to inspire some of these younger guys to maybe want to get into coaching someday. So I try to take it day by day with our guys and treat it a lot like Coach Durham did.
So you're a lot like me, man. You're pulling things. I'm not a very smart person, right?
Neither am I.
Pulling things from someone here, someone there, starting to build it. Talk to me. So you talked a little bit about your Hudsonville coach, but you also got to coach with Derek Pennington, and then you also got to work at Chelsea with Brad Bush. And so we're talking about, obviously Derek's record speaks for itself, and then Brad Bush. What were you able to take from Derek? And what were you able to take from Brad Bush? And you don't have to go through a ton of things, but maybe just
for sure. Well, first off, I've just been blessed with people around me. Like, played for Coach Durham, to start at 21 years old with Coach Pennington, and who's one of my best friends. I talk to him every day. So I just talked to him before we got on this. They won 49-3 or something like that. So just what I learned from Derek was how to get kids to believe that they can beat somebody that they probably shouldn't beat. I'll never forget when we beat Muskegon. We had no business beating those guys in 2012, but we did because he was such a great motivator, and he treated kids the same. And it didn't matter if you were the starting quarterback or if you were 50 on the depth chart. It didn't matter with him. He treated everybody the same. And obviously the schemes that he has are unbelievable. Him and I go back and forth. He's not an RPO guy. He doesn't want to give up the control to his quarterback. He had me down at Oregon Clay, putting in some RPOs for him, and I've watched his game films. He hasn't run one, so I've texted him like, "You're wasting my time driving 3 hours to Toledo, and you're not even running the stuff I installed for 2 hours with your offense." But he's one of my best friends, man. It's really cool. So, like in 18, we went to the finals. He was on my sideline. In 21, we went to the finals. He was on my sideline. So when we lost in the first round in 22, I drove back every game and was on his sidelines. When they beat Rockford, every game, Granville, Rockford, Grand Ledge, Clarkston, I was there with him, and I was in when they lost to Belleville in the finals. But he means so much to me. I've learned so much from him, and then obviously Brad. You want to talk about a hard situation? I'm a 30-year-old dude coming into a place. I got 4 wins under my belt, and my AD is the previous head coach, who stands behind me during the games and gets a call sheet every week from what we're calling on offense. But just so much about building a program, right? Like with him, it was never finished. And it was just the things that I took from that place in general, from the strength coach, Adam Taylor, to our defense coordinator, Grant Fanning, to Brad, to our assistants there. Like there's just so many things that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that I felt have got me to the point where I can try and instill those things here in Jenison. But I talk to Brad all the time too. Like I talked to him this morning, not about that, but about different thing that don't go our way, but a different thing. We won't talk about that tonight.
All right. So we talked about your not so fond memories at Ford Field, and I wasn't going to bring that up, but let's talk about a different.
It's okay. I can live with it. I'm good.
Let's talk about a different memory at Ford Field. How often do you watch that 2021 state championship game?
Honestly, I probably watch it once a year, and I do it because of the memories that were made in that game. And I have a group text of all of our BCS captains. We had 8 seniors that were BCS captains, and I text those guys about once a year, and I just say, "Wow, like that game will live forever." Like this last year when the state finals was going on, they had like the top 5 moments ever at Ford Field, and I think we were number 1. So I was texting those guys then. It's funny though because the last 2 weeks, tonight and last week, 2 of the officials were guys that officiated that game. So it's just really cool. Like it's something that will live forever. The thing that's sad is they're probably going to bring like a reunion back, but I won't be able to go because I'll be coaching over here. So in 20 years, if I'm still doing this thing, they're going to have to do that without me there, which is fine. It's not about me, but like that'd be a cool thing to go and see those guys again, because that's the sad part about leaving Chelsea too, is it's on the other side of the state. So I'm not going to see those people, and there's such great people over there. I don't see them to reminisce about the 21 season that was unbelievable. What a comeback! What a game!
I want to know who was the holder, because the holder
Quarterback
double
Luke
clutch,
Stun.
puts it down. Like I see that highlight, and I'm like, because I was the holder in college.
Unbelievable.
And that kid foam down, put it. I was like,
Unbelievable. And people forget he's in the record book for most passing touchdowns in a state championship game. But that play was the most important play of the game. I mean, he took the ball off the turf and got on the tee. And the beauty of that whole thing, Hunter Shaw, who's pitching at Ohio State, wasn't even the kicker to start the year. We put him at kicker, never kicked before. He would kick for fun. And our kicker, Nick Fisk, who's also our receiver, had a little groin injury on his right leg. So whenever he'd kick, it would flare up. So we, in a Sunday meeting, we're we got to find another kicker. And pea shooter is what we call him. But Hunter Shaw comes out there, man. He was unbelievable. He made some huge field goals during that run in the playoffs. And that's all he did. He was a linebacker, tight end. He didn't even care. He just wanted to kick. It was nuts. And he was awesome. But the best part is he doesn't skip a beat. Ash, when it's a bad snap, the kicker usually wants to pause and wait, and then the whole thing gets all jacked up. He just went. And he had to wait for 2 timeouts, so he stayed on the sidelines on the biggest kick of his life, 35-yarder, and he freaking buries it. And when we all go nuts, and it was crazy. And my wife went after Jason, I think, at one point, being on the west side. So it was fun. Just a great night, man. It was so fun. But that's also part of, for me, coming here, it was okay to know that I get a chance to build something myself. Because I always felt in Chelsea, we had a great 6 years, but I always felt like it's Brad's program. You're under Brad. It's still Brad's thing, which is fine because it was, and I respect the heck out of it. But coming here and being able to take the things I learned in Hudsonville and in Chelsea and instill those here, it's just been so much fun for me. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
That's awesome. That's all I got. Anything else, Ash?
that's all I got. Man.
Ash, did you throw a pick on one of those pop twos tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, what the heck? Man, if it's muddy, we just hand it off, right? If it's muddy, hand it off. Don't get greedy.
I don't communicate as well as you do.
You know what?
I don't communicate as well as you. We're trying. We're getting there.
You're getting there. 9-0 last year. It cost us.
Hey,
who do you got next week?
We play Sparta. It's 2-0.
Ryan Patterson.
Doing a great job.
Good job, yeah. Oh, this is RCA. No, you're not in the RCA. This ain't RCA. This is a non-league game for you.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
you guys.
Josh, man. Congrats.
Talk about Jenison football, man. It's really cool for us in our school, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Before we get into some week 3 matchups, help me again with my top 10 here. What do you do at number 1? Do I move Hudsonville out of that spot, even though they won the game tonight against East Lansing? And if I did, does Granville go to number 1 with a loss, or does Kentwood go all the way from 3 to 1? What would you do here? Who's the best team through 2 weeks?
I think you got to keep Hudsonville at 1. They're undefeated, and I'm telling you, the East Lansing football program is a very good football program, and they do a really good job. Coming away on the road with a win, I think you got to keep Hudsonville at 1.
So then would you go Kentwood at 2 and Granville at 1 for the loss at Cass Tech, or would you keep them the same?
I'd keep it the same, to be honest. That Cass Tech football, Granville should have won the game. They should have won the game, and they didn't. They didn't, though. It's maybe a flip-flop. Kentwood 2, Granville 3.
The beauty of it is it's all going to play itself out because they're all going to play each other in the OK Red.
Right.
And I think the most likely scenario is they all beat each other. But who knows? In Rockford, Caledonia, Jenison, these teams are all going to have something to say about this.
Oh, yeah.
And West Ottawa, it's
right.
Who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be absolutely wild. All right, so I'll keep Mona Shores 4. They got a nice win over a really good Rouge team that you and I really like. And then it gets a little murky. I guess do I go Rockford? Byron Center's 0-2, but they lost to teams that I have 1 and 3. So do we bump? Does Byron Center have to go out of the top 10 at 0-2?
No, I don't. They're a top 10 football team. I'm going to let you pick that one.
See, but people are going to be mad at me if I have an 0-2 team in my top 10. They're already mad at me because I had 3 teams that lost in week 1 in my top 10. Byron Center, Rockford, and Muskegon. So do I have to drop Muskegon out of my top 10 for being 0-2?
That's going to be you.
Well, here's the thing. The biggest arguments are Zeeland West, right? But how hard can you argue for Zeeland West now with a miracle? I mean, let's just call it what it is. A miracle win over West Ottawa tonight.
Right.
Right? So can you argue? I guess Unity Christian now is your biggest argument. Like Unity Christian has beaten Whitehall and they've beaten Schoolcraft. They beat Schoolcraft tonight 40-19. With 18 starters to replace, I'm just hesitant to put Unity in the top 10 until they beat a really good team. And listen, they have Forest Hills Eastern this week, and Forest Hills Eastern's 2-0, but Forest Hills Eastern's replacing more starters than Unity Christian is, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Keita's got Unity way up high. He's got Zeeland West way up high because they win games. And I'm more looking at strength of schedule. I don't know what's fair, no matter what people are going to be mad about. I'm tempted to leave the same 10 in my top 10.
I think you do.
Says the guy who's number 8 in my poll. He wants to stay in the top 10. All right, before we get to week 3, a couple statewide scores I think it's important to mention. De La Salle, Davison, our two friends, Jake Weingarts and Dan Roan go head-to-head, and it was the Cardinals that pull it out, huh? 23-21?
Yeah, big win for Davison. I mean, that's a huge match in week 2 here. Big win for Davison. I mean, Coach Weingart and done. Heck of a game at 3-21.
Davison, big win over De La Salle. How about this? Detroit Catholic Central, who was our number 2 team behind Toledo Central Catholic, behind Cass Tech. Detroit Catholic Central beats Toledo Central Catholic tonight, 27-14. So they beat them by 13. Cass Tech beat them by 1. By the way, Toledo Central Catholic, who I think was state runner-up in Ohio last year, is a really good football team. They're 0-3 because they played in Ohio week 1 and lost. So, wow, they've played a ridiculous schedule, and they're 0-3. So some statewide scores there. And by the way, I did get a final. Okemos beats Union 7-6. Okemos' only points came out of pick 6 in the first half. So the Union defense doesn't give up any points. And then Union scores in the fourth quarter. They go for 2 and don't get it. Heartbreak for Grand Rapids Union, who's a much improved football team. And so the OK Green is indeed 1-11 through the first 2 weeks. Wow. All right, so week 3, what jumps out to you? Let's start with Northview Sparta. We talked about it a little bit. What's key for you in that game?
Well, I mean, you look at Sparta's a 2-0 football team, right? New head coach Ryan Patterson. I mean, you look at their 2 wins. I mean, obviously they beat a Wyoming team week 1, and then they turn around and beat a Wheeling team who they lost to last year. What is it, 36-35? So, I mean, for us, going to Sparta, I've actually coached a game there and do a couple of games there. It's a great atmosphere. It's a football town. It's going to be packed. I mean, for us, week 3 is going to be everything. Biggest game of the year, one you're playing. But boy, it's going to be 2-0 football teams.
All right, so I talked last week about how week 2 wasn't week 1. Week 2 actually turned out to be better than week 1. On paper, it wasn't as good. And week 3 is, my opinion, the worst schedule of the season for this area. There's just not any matchups that do anything for me, if I'm being honest. The OK Red, I think, is going to be the headliner here because conference play starts. So let's look at those OK Red matchups. Jenison hosts East Kentwood, 2-0 against 2-0. Rockford's at Grand Haven. Both teams are 1-1. Granville's at West Ottawa. 1-1 Granville at 0-2 West Ottawa. West Ottawa's very, very close to being 2-0. And then Hudsonville is hosting Caledonia. Caledonia beat Reese Puffer big tonight. The Fighting Scots are 2-0. They have not been tested in their first 2 games. Interesting slate there. I would say I can make a case for all of those being worth taking in.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm really looking for the Caledonia Hudson game because, Coach Bell, we say it hasn't been tested yet, but, obviously beating a good Reese Puffer team. And, they get the opportunity to play the defending OK Red champions here in week 3. So I'll be interested to see what they're made of and see how they're looking.
So we touched on Unity of Forest Hills Eastern. Both teams are 2-0. How about this one? Forest Hills Northern and Forest Hills Central. One of the two of us had Forest Hills Northern in his top 10 to start the season. The Huskies are 0-2. And they're taking on a big rival in Forest Hills Central. But Forest Hills Central's licking its wounds after getting smoked by Portage Central tonight. I mean, that's a pretty important game for more reasons than just bragging rights, I'd say.
For sure. And if you, it's been a while since Forest Hills Northern and Forest Hills Central, but those games are packed. They're passionate. heated football games when it's Forest Hills North, Forest Hills Central. That's going to be a good football game. I think I like the Caledonia Hudsonville matchup, but man, the Forest Hills Central and Forest Hills Northern matchup, that would be.
How about Tuno Grand Rapids Catholic Central going to Jackson Lumen Christi? Lumen Christi defending state champs in Division 6. They are 1-1. They lost to a defending state champ in Illinois by 4 in week 1, but they beat Notre Dame Prep tonight. Impressive win for Herb Brogan's crew. So this will be the first game of the season for Catholic Central against an in-state opponent, and they got to go all the way to Jackson to do it. But nonetheless, it's an intriguing matchup.
Oh, no question. I mean, Jackson Lumen Christi loses week 1. I think against Montini. Unbelievable program, and then they beat Notre Dame. And Notre Dame Prep, man. I mean, they were as good as Advocates last year. I mean, they hung 42 on Catholic Central last year. And obviously it's a new year, but that's really nice win. That's a really nice win for Jackson University. So, I mean, that's a great week 3 match as well. I mean, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, who I think has got to be the favorite in the OK Black. I mean, going to Jackson University, 2 proud programs squaring off. I think it's going to be a good football game.
West Catholic South Christian, that was very entertaining a year ago, but, no Carson Viss this year. But South Christian got shut out tonight by East Grand Rapids. I think we were all a little surprised by that one. West Catholic comes back and thumps Coopersville. So both of those teams are 1-1. That's two just great programs. That should be interesting. How about a little under the radar? These are the games I love, Ash. I love this stuff. Holland is 2-0. Will Siffin's crew beat South Haven tonight, 26-23. They lost to South Haven last year. And Holland Christian. So you got the rivalry, you got the city bragging rights, you got both teams 2-0. Holland Christian beat Comstock Park tonight, 35-19. In a week where there's just not a ton of great matchups. Like, I don't know, man. If I was still in TV, I'd be making arguments for game of the week, Holland Christian.
The Holland Christian Holland matchup, that's huge. I mean, they're right down the road from each other. I believe both schools walk over to their to their campus for the game, and I mean, Coach is doing a great job. Man, that was a program that was kind of down and out, and he's really brought it back to life. I mean, kudos to him. But Coach Aberger at Holland Christian, man, he does a good job, and they've got a great running back. They're able to spread the ball around. So, boy, that'll be a nice matchup for week 3.
All right, River City starts league play next week, except for Sparta, of course, who's playing Northview. Lowell is 2-0. They are at Coopersville. Coopersville's 0-2. Cedar Springs is 2-0. The Redhawks beat a really good Harper Creek team tonight, 30-20. I'm a big fan of Gus Capolco and the job he does there. So Cedar's at home against Greenville. Greenville is 0-2 after losing to Forest Hills Eastern tonight. And then Kenowa Hills is 2-0, and they're at Allendale. Allendale's 0-2. So all the games in that league are 2-0 against 0-2. Anything spark your?
Well, some of these 0-2 teams. I mean, they're kind of these are big football games. I mean, look at Coopersville right now; they're 0-2, but I think they're a very good football team, and that's going to be a tough matchup for them. You look at Allendale and Kenowa Hills. I mean, they're kind of very close to each other. It's a decent rivalry that's started to brew a little bit there. We'll see. I mean, I think the River City Lions is an exciting league, and they're doing a really nice job. I mean, when a 2-0 and an 0-2 team comes together, you don't necessarily know the stories of the teams and the backstories. I just think it's going to be exciting football for sure.
I will be at Grabinski Field. I don't know if you've ever been a game at Spring Lake. It's right on the water. They can't put field turf in there because of the moisture and just the way where the field is set up. So it's grass. But man, early in the season, it's a great place to see a game. Spring Lake's 2-0. I know you were high on Spring Lake coming into this OK White, who is going to be there with West Catholic. But they're taking on Reese Puffer. Now, Reese Puffer's 0-2, but you have to remember, Reese Puffer beat Spring Lake last year. I did that game as well. So that is going to be interesting to me. And that's where I'll be on 107 MUS, the Moose. Statewide, I'm kind of looking through some matchups here. Like Cass Tech gets into the PSL. I mean, they were taking on Detroit Renaissance. That's not going to be competitive. It doesn't seem like, anyways. DeWitt's really good. They're hosting Waverly. Waverly has struggled a little bit this season. So I knew that the West Michigan schedule was not great in week 3, but Saginaw Heritage Grand Blanc. I mean, we were all high a little bit on Heritage coming in, but the Hawks got beat there in week 1 by Mount Pleasant, and then lost again to Midland Dow tonight. So I don't know. I'm struck. What you got anything for me statewide?
Stretch there. And who's De La Salle got next week?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I'm kind of flipping through these scores a little bit here, or these matchups to see what we have. And De La Salle's a little bit towards the bottom alphabetically, as I'm trying to find some good matchups here. Mason Williamston.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And Williamson's got a nice football team. We had the opportunity to see him at a 7-on-7 this summer. He get some big bids, and obviously Mason put together a couple nice runs a couple years in a row. Played a big game in the CAAC.
How about Midland Dow, Mount Pleasant? Both teams 2-0 there in the SVL.
Yeah. I mean, Kurt McIntyre doing a great job at Mount Pleasant. Midland Dow coming out of nowhere there. I think those are decent matchups. But look at what we said about week 2, right? Maybe week 2 was a good matchup. And boy, some of the greatest final couple of minutes of some of these games is unbelievable.
Who is most likely to win on a Hail Mary next week?
Well, I'm going to say not Zeeland West. I mean, they would have been great, and I think they're going to even agree that the least likely thing that they would do is on a Hail Mary. But it's the word Hail Mary, right? It's a long shot. It's a long chance.
All right, I found it. Yeah, we definitely have our game of the week next week statewide. Before we get to that, though, how about Davison going to Thurlby Field to take on Traverse City Central? So that's 2-0 against 2-0, and a long road trip for the Cardinals. That one could be interesting. But yeah, no question, game of the week in the state is Orchard Lake St. Mary's at De La Salle. Mm-hmm. I think that's huge because I vote in this new media poll with Alex Palone from Prep Red Zone and other media members throughout the state, and I'm the only one that had De La Salle ahead of Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Orchard Lake St. Mary's defending Division II state champ. Everybody loves them. So I think that's a big game. And obviously it's a big rivalry, and those two schools know each other very well.
Oh, yeah. Open up the Catholic League. They were two traditional players, right? They big. And we had Corona there, weeks ago. And, I mean, they're sitting at 1-1 right now. Don't really want to steer them play, but 1-2, and you're starting Catholic League play. I know he focuses on playing in the postseason, but you got to get wins in the regular season to get to the postseason.
All right, couple quick ones here before we get done. I want to give a shout out to Justin Dennett at Kelloggsville. They are 2-0. Okay, Justin Dennett, his first year, he left Montague, took the Kelloggsville job, and Kelloggsville has lost a lot of football games in the last 8 years. They are 2-0, and they will open OK Silver Play next week against Fruitport. And how about Thornapple Kellogg right there in your OK Black? When we talked last week about all the heartbreakers they've had, they win 28-27 against Hamilton tonight. You have to feel good. I mean, we're not rooting, but I feel good for Jeff Dock and Thornapple Kellogg because they've been on the wrong end of so many of those, and they get a 1-point win tonight over Hamilton.
Yeah, they did the ball all their way. I mean, good for them. That's what you see.
And so TK will take on Wayland next week. A little rivalry there, and of course, Wayland coming off a 1-point loss. I think you'd be safe to bet TK Wayland going to be a close football game.
For sure.
Next Friday. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Anything else on the way out, Coach?
No, that was great. The interview with today. And have some more coaches in the future.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you next week. Week 3. In no way it could possibly top week 2.